So, Mark, did you see the strip aerial? It was shared by Maverick Helicopters, and then someone shared the historical shot of that in 1994 to today. And it's funny because on the strip, you still have all these same big buildings in a lot of cases, but it's amazing at all the little stuff that changes over time.
Yeah, 1994 looks pretty boring, to be honest. Like, you think a lot of people were still going to Vegas back then, but it's just so, they're less developed, and it's so much open space, which kind of blows your mind with compared to how much, just 30 years later, where we're at and how much has changed. But yeah, you basically had a really long walk in between casinos back then.
And where were all the screens? I mean, what would we do without them? What did people do? As I've talked about on a couple of shows, I was on the strip a lot last week, and I did share a lot on Twitter and other parts of social media about what I was doing. But what I did from Wynn, because I was on the North Strip, I finally went down and did the North Strip Taco Challenge. Not that this is an actual thing, but we know that Tacos El Gordo is very popular, and there's another popular spot, Tacos El Pastor, which has grown in popularity around Las Vegas recently, just next door. So I had limited capacity for eating tacos because I couldn't eat 100 of them. So I just chose those two places. But I decided to compare Pastor tacos at each one, as I know a lot of people do it. Because El Gordo a lot of times has huge lines. Although during the midweek this week, I didn't find lines there, which was really nice. I was able to walk into either one of these places. But even towards the weekend, like on Cinco de Mayo, both of these places had lines out the door, which can, stink. But a lot of times El Pastor, you can get a shorter line, get in there quicker. But I have to say, Tacos El Gordo doesn't have quite the spice that the other one does, but it's overall a better taco. And I'll also say, Mark, that neither one compares to a random taco shop in Mexico City.
That's what I was going to say. How does the El Pastor taco compare to Mexico City, which is, the best tacos I think you can have anywhere, really?
Yeah, Pastor tacos come from Mexico City. And if you've ever been there, you know that there's just random taco shops all over the place. And then if you actually look up some of the better ones, I mean, just out of this world tacos. And I'm sorry to say Tacos El Gordo, I've never felt that it does live up to that, but it is a really good taco. Tacos El Pastor, which is the name of the other taco place, which is a little confusing, is pretty good as well. So they're both decent tacos, but not, compared to Mexico. And the other thing about El Gordo, if people want to be a little bit more adventurous, is get the lengua taco, which is just cow tongue. I've been getting that for years. That's been my go-to there. And it's absolutely, the meat is so soft and succulent. It's delicious. That's my favorite taco there. So I did have one of those as well, in addition to the Pastor tacos at either place. But yeah, it really tastes good, Mark. It's not anything crazy like it sounds.
Yeah.
It's just tongue, right?
If you just give it to somebody and you don't tell them what it is, they probably would think it was great. But so what's your favorite taco in Vegas, period? Strip, off strip, whatever.
I think Tacos El Gordo. I haven't been to every taco shop, and there's a lot of people in the comments that have mentioned other ones. So I'll have to kind of maybe try out some new ones, because I feel like the taco scene has really exploded the last few years. So I'm sure there's probably better options than Tacos El Gordo, but I've been going there for 15, 20 years. Basically, they have a location on the strip, but they opened a new one on South Las Vegas Boulevard at Sunset, where you can go. And they've also had one in Cheyenne in the 15 for many years that I used to go to all the time. So, but I feel like there's got to be better ones out there. And the other thing about Vegas is birria tacos, which is usually goat, but now they have beef birria too, which is like a stew, which has consomme on the side. That's become really big too. So there's birria places all over the place. So I'll have to report back on more of that. I did share on Twitter this week, I went down to Excalibur in New York, to check out the change in the landscape, let's call it, the removal of the water. And I am pleased to say that the grass beneath the Statue of Liberty, the fake grass, looks pretty good. I actually thought it fit in well.
It doesn't look weird that it's grass?
I mean, it does, but if you just forget the fact that there was water, a lot of times over the last few years, it's been drained anyway, so it never looked great. It didn't look like it used to look way back in the day. They had removed the boats and a lot of the theming. So I think it looks fine. I looked at it from a few different angles on the escalators, down on the ground. I thought it looked great. Then I walked across to Excalibur to figure out what they're doing there, where the old Merlin show was. We had talked about that there was sand there a few weeks ago, but clearly they were doing something else. And I figured out what they're actually doing there. And it's just rock. They're putting rock in there.
Okay.
And
Less
yeah,
exciting.
excited. Yeah.
I think they should have Japanese gardened it with sand and like gone out there and raked it every day. It would have been cool. Except for the windstorms of Vegas would make it unbearable, I'm sure, most of the time. But, you know, it is what it is. Rock, I guess. It just doesn't feel right. I mean, sand I was able to accept, but is it like a lava rock or like a brownish rock? What kind of rock is it?
So they have like reddish, brownish rock and then white rock. There's like these, they're putting them in decorative, almost like flower-like patterns on both sides. So I'll throw up some video for you, Mark, right now. But you know, it's okay. It doesn't look good. It looks cheap.
Drink.
It doesn't it doesn't really fit in with the castle aesthetic. I mean, I guess the fake grass wouldn't either, but I feel like that would have looked better than this does. But maybe people like it. It was cool to see the guy operate the machine. They have this big stacks of rock like out on the street, and then this giant hose. And this guy holds the hose and like the rock just spews out and he puts it in the different spots. I had never seen it like
It's kind of like those mulch, the people that do the mulch and they just spray it everywhere, kind of like that.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool to watch because I got to see him do it. One side of it was already done. They were doing the other side. I got to see the moving walkway there, completely gone. You know, it's there. It's just completely blocked off, never going to open again. I thought that one might have a chance to reopen as basically the last sort of moving walkway in Las Vegas. Maybe there's another one that I'm forgetting about, but that's completely gone. So even in fact, one section of it, they have it completely, they put a permanent block on it, like a gate. And then the other part, they just have the, you know, out of order part, but that's never going to open again. I used to love as a kid just riding that moving walkway into Excalibur, into the casino. Never to happen again.
That's sad. I wish they'd do something instead of Merlin, like have a dune sandworm coming out or doing some kind of show down there. You know, it's such a cool area to look down into for a show. It would be awesome if they did something. But, you know, like we've seen in Vegas, nobody's going to spend money on that type of stuff. So one by one, they go away. But, you know, in like 15 years, watch, we'll be doing a show where we're talking about all the free stuff in Vegas again.
Let's hope so. One other thing I did this week was at Circus Circus. And the guy we covered a couple weeks ago that they had finished the painting, the ongoing drama of this painting, but they actually hadn't. And so we showed a picture from the north side where it was completely done. But on the south side, the side facing Resorts World, it still had the green primer on it. But you know, that'll be done in a few days. No, I mean, I'm not doing it. I just want to be accurate with what we said before. But I got to see it in person, got to see the front, because they also painted some of the walls on the front side too in the same pink. It does look very vibrant and nice. And you know, you go inside, they still have all those coin slot machines. Feels like they've actually expanded that area a little bit over the last couple of years. So, and that's always busy.
Clank, 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 clank.
Yeah, it's great. It's so great to hear. But the main reason to go there, my daughter was staying one night with us at Wynn, and I wanted to, she loves the Circus Circus Midway. We took her there in Reno last year and just decided to take her to the Midway at Circus Circus. I grew up there in the 80s, like going there all of the time. And the great thing about it, perfect nostalgia, because it looks exactly the same as it did when I was a kid, which, you know, is not necessarily a positive thing, but also in the case of being nostalgic, taking your kid, it's not a bad thing either.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed that area. You know, the problem has always been just maintenance and upkeep and having all the games working, which, you know, half the time half the machines are down or whatever. But I was kind of surprised that the price, what'd you say, like $2? $2.50 per game for the most part is what you were seeing, which, you know, back in the 80s is probably 50 cents. So they haven't changed anything. They just raised the prices a lot.
Yeah, so you have to get a card now, which, you know, back in the day you just give them cash. And the card, basically 100 points is $1 or whatever. Basically it's $2.20 to $2.50 for the point values that you get on your card for most of the games. So the games like the racing games, the horse racing, the camel racing, those were like $2.50. Some of the other ones were $2.20, like the ball tosses, the ring toss, stuff like that. Word to the wise, when you take a kid there, and I didn't think about. So we did a few games, and Ellie didn't win anything, and then she was just like heartbroken. And so, you know, maybe start with like one of the races if it's not busy, and you can just buy 2 entries, and then you can get a stuffed animal. Because once she got the one stuffed animal, she was happy. She was perfectly happy, but she got a little mad at us at the beginning. But we spent $30 there and we're able to, you know, 45 minutes. It was fun. She got to do all the different ones. But, you know, they have the camel race from back in the day. They have several different versions. They have the shooting gun game, you know, which is always fun with the water. The Midway acts are only on the weekends right now. So we didn't get to see any circus acts, but that's all still there. The carousel bar that used to be there is, you know, full of machines. On the top level, it looks like a closed-off snack area. The McDonald's that they used to have there is gone, and it's like a generic area as well. And as for the casino at Circus Circus, a lot of modern machines, very low ceilings. And that area, where you walk from the front to the back is just full of all
How's
these
the
random
carpet?
shops. The carpet is not as good as the carpet at Slots of Fun, which, by the way, is still there, most of it. They've replaced some of it, but it's still there. But I always found it weird how Circus Circus has all these random shops like Tattoo Parlor and just, they had like a manga comic store and, in that area as you walk from like the strip side all the way back to the Adventure Dome. It's still such a weird property these days. There were a lot of people there, so I guess people enjoy it.
Yeah, I remember playing game, years and years ago with my wife, and I won like a basketball. It was like a college basketball, and I'm like, what the heck am I going to do with this? I can't get it. I'm not going to get it on the plane. It's not even a team I like. So I just walking around and I find any random kid and I'm like, here, do you want a basketball? And then I'm sure their parents like, what am I going to do with this? Thanks a lot, guy.
But I do wonder if they could do a modern version of this with some of the nostalgic games and do it better if they renovated it. It is a very unique place, stuck in time. It's good for kids. I did want to say good for kids, and surprising to me is how good the pool at Wynn Las Vegas is for kids. Because, there's always these lists of the best family-friendly pools. And, Mandalay Bay, I always say, is the best family-friendly pool with a wave pool and lazy river. But Wynn has this really big pool. It has these two, side sections that are connected by, almost like a lap area. It almost looks like a big barbell from the air if you look down on it. But it's just set in the gardens, very peaceful, a really fun place to swim. So I wanted to highlight that because I didn't really ever think about that as a family-friendly pool. Took my daughter there, changed my mind completely. I almost prefer it almost over any other pool in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and everybody watching is like, oh, thanks. Now we're going to have all these kids here screaming while we're trying to relax at the Wynn pool that we paid $800 a night for. But no, it's interesting. I've never actually spent any time at the Wynn pool, so interesting to hear. Glad to hear it. There's so many pools in Vegas can range so much, and I don't even really love the Mandalay pool that much, even though it really is a good one for kids because it's just so packed and there's no space anywhere to relax. Half the time we end up back behind tents, laying on the sand back there and stuff because there's just no room, and they're funneling all these different towers and hotels into it. It's too much.
Yeah, there's nothing relaxing or calm about the pool at Mandalay Bay. It's overrun with people. But if you're talking about amenities for kids, they don't really have water slides there, but they do like the lazy river and the wave pool. I feel like MGM has a great pool with a lazy river. There are some that have water slides. They're small water slides, and Circus Circus has a water slides now at their pool area as well. But this is just a cool place for kids to swim. The pools are heated, so you're not dealing with the cold weather. All of my other stays at Wynn had been kind of in the winter, and even though they have, one pool open during that period of time, I just was never motivated to swim there. But I swam there a few times this week, and it's just so relaxing out there, walking around in the gardens. And they do have an adult pool as well with an outdoor casino, so you can stay away from the kids if you want. But there's plenty of space. It's huge.
So you can gamble while sitting in pee. There you go.
I mean, isn't that the Vegas way, Mark? Isn't that the Vegas way? All right. So we talked a few weeks ago about speakeasies, and maybe we'll do a speakeasy walk or crawl or something at some point. But I came across this article on Vegas Eater, 19 secret restaurants in Las Vegas. We won't cover all of them, but there are quite a few that I hadn't heard of or some other interesting ones. And some of them are speakeasies, some of them are hidden restaurants, some of them are restaurants within restaurants. So let's start here. The Underground at the Mob Museum. I feel like this is a speakeasy everybody's heard about, and it's at the Mob Museum, so it makes perfect sense. If you're going to go there, you should obviously go to the Speakeasy, right?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the one we talked about a couple weeks ago at Absinthe. It's there and everybody kind of, knows it's there, but it's a little bit hidden. And I'd say even I don't remember what the name of the bar is, but at Meow Wolf, if you're not paying attention, you're not going to see it. And it's around the corner. It's actually a really cool place, unique drinks and stuff like that. So I think every bigger attraction has something like that these days.
Now there's another interesting one, Capo's Restaurant and Speakeasy. It's been on my list to go to for years. I've driven by it a bunch of times. This is an Italian restaurant on West Sahara. But the cool thing is to get inside, you have to knock on the door. A mobster opens the door, asks what you're doing there. And they also have the Speakeasy bar, but also a full restaurant. It's a little bit off strip, but not too far off the strip. And certainly one I think would be worth exploring. It reminds me of back at the Tropicana had the mob experience back in the day, maybe a decade ago. And they had, it was these sets of mob street. It was like a live action sort of entertainment thing, but there was mobsters everywhere. They would interrogate you. They would threaten you. That's always fun.
Sounds like a good night out.
Now, Resorts World, they have that famous Here Kitty Kitty Vice Den, right? That bar that's off of their food court. But now that used to be a shop in the front of there, and now they've converted it into like a tea place or something. So you have a hostess stand outside, and it feels like it took away a lot of the allure of what that was, because it felt like just a shop where you could buy like Kit Kats from Asia or different stuff, and then you stumbled into the speakeasy.
Yeah, I agree. That's the whole thing of a speakeasy is something that doesn't look like something. So if you add a host stand outside, then you're like, okay, well, it's just a back room or a back bar area. It's not as special. So I wish they would have left it the way it was, but I'm guessing that store wasn't making them any money. So they're like, well, maybe we should put something in here that might actually get some revenue besides the speakeasy.
Now, here's one I really didn't know about. Mas Por Favor Taqueria y Tequila. They have a restaurant in the front, and then they have the speakeasy in the back. And you wander over this mysterious door, it says, and then you go down these like tunnel, basically, with like rocks in a cave to get to their tequila bar in the back. Another cool spot.
Yeah, I'd actually heard about this. I didn't know what it was called or anything, but when we went to Golden Tiki, a local had said, oh, there's a really cool speakeasy in that same strip mall. You just have to go like here. And we didn't, it was later in the night. We didn't really pay attention to what they said. So the next day we get there, my buddy's like, yeah, you remember there's a speakeasy here somewhere? I'm like, well, I'm not going to go knock on every door and try to find it. So definitely you'll have to go check it out. I mean, that's a good 1-2 combo right there, I think, if you're going to that area. I mean, Golden Tiki is one of the best bars in Vegas, in my opinion.
Check out the bathrooms there, apparently. Yeah.
Yes, if you like adult visuals.
Yeah. Ghost Donkey. So there's a few at Cosmo, obviously. Some of these are known, some of these are not.
Yeah, is Cosmo just all speakeasies? It's like 47 speakeasies on this list.
Well, I mean, some of them are. Some of them, like Secret Pizza was on this list, which is not a speakeasy, right? Beauty and Essex and the barbershop. Like the barbershop just looks like a barbershop, right? But in the back, it's a club and everything else. Ghost Donkey is the one that's in their food hall. And I guess you look for the donkey door, a door with like a donkey illustration, and then you go back in there. But yeah, it was sort of interesting to see all of those on there. They 4 on the list of 19 were at Cosmo.
Yeah, and I think that the Ghost Donkey is the one that's the mezcal bar, right? Which I sent to my buddy who's big into mezcal, and I don't like drinking burnt rubber, so it's not my thing. But I know he's gonna be super upset because he spent so much time at Cosmo last trip. He's like, it's my favorite place, and I don't think they ever made it in there.
There's a couple interesting places at Park MGM. You have Best Friend, which looks like a convenience store on the front. If you've ever seen this place, it's sort of by the strip entrance to Park MGM, just outside Italy. But you go back and you have a full restaurant there, so not as much as Speakeasy. On the Record, which is their like record bar place, it's like a nightclub. I haven't been inside there, but it looks really cool. They also, if you look for a wall of cassette tapes, they have the Vinyl Parlor Speakeasy that you can go to. So another just interesting thing. It's cool how you have so much sort of hidden beneath the surface all around Las Vegas these days. The coolest one I saw on this list, Yakiba Sushi. They have a hidden room in the back that you can request. Only 2 tables. They serve a 5-course set menu with Wagyu beef, and you're in this very intimate 2-table setting.
Good luck.
In the back. Yeah, exactly.
Getting in there.
Yeah, there's other ones on the list, but this is a cool list to kind of see it.
I'm starting to wonder if the laundry room one on Fremont Street is even real, because all I hear is people text and never able to get in. There's
ones that are really well known. There's ones that are not. I do like them. It's become a little bit of a jump the shark thing with so many of these, but some of them, are neat. And things like Secret Pizza, it's kind of cool to know it exists. I guess it's not really a secret, but I guess if you didn't really know and you look down that hallway, you would see it. So it's not just about drinking, it's about eating, it's about kind of discovering places. And I think that just talks about how Las Vegas has so much going for it as far as theme and different layers, depending on how deep you want to go. You could be a grandma just sitting there playing the slots, or you could be somebody who doesn't gamble at all, find all these cool places, or you could just be an urban explorer and do it all.
I really like when it's more hidden, even if people know about it. Like there's one in Detroit called Bad Luck Bar that's down this alley. And even if you see it on like a Google map, you have no clue how to get to it because it's down this alley that looks very sketchy. And the door just has a snake on it. And that's all you see. And you're like, really? Is this where I'm supposed to go? You open it up and it's like black curtains. And as soon as they open up the black curtains, it's just this magnificent looking little bar that probably has 10 tables. And I'll have you throw up some pictures I have on the screen of it. But yeah, definitely if you're ever in the Detroit area and you like speakeasies, high-end cocktails, check out that place. It's really cool.
And let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about. The rocks at Excalibur, the grass at New York, North Strip tacos, the hidden restaurants and speakeasies. Are there any that we didn't mention that we should know about? Let us know. So all that stuff, hit us up in the comments. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. and we'll be back in just a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Mark, we're wearing the same clothes as we were last show. What happened?
Yeah, maybe we should change for the next show.
All right, maybe we'll do that. Thanks for watching.
Have a good weekend, everybody.